Okay. Good evening. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Oxford Preparatory Academy, April 23rd, 2020. Open session at 5:30 p.m., closed session at 5:40 p.m., returning to open session at 7 p.m. The meeting will be by teleconference pursuant to executive orders and this regular meeting of the Board of Directors of Oxford Preparatory Academy. Awesome.
That's why I had two computers and now I don't.
Understood. And N29-20. The Board of Directors and employees of Oxford Preparatory Academy shall meet via the Zoom meeting platform. Members of the public who wish to access this board meeting may do so at https://zoom.us/J//91478078192 or phone number 1-669-900-6833, meeting ID 914-7807-8192. The live stream can be accessed from the OPA website as well. Members of the public who wish to comment during the board meeting should complete the request to address the OPA Board of Directors form and submit it in order to address the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Trustees. Requests must be submitted by 5:30 p.m. on 4/23/2020. You will be called on during the Zoom meeting to address the board either during public comments or prior to an agenda item. Please log on to the Zoom meeting at the HTTP address provided above or call in to 1-669-900-6833. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes. If an interpreter is needed for comments, they will be translated to English and the time limit shall be 6 minutes. The Board of Directors may limit the total time for public comment to a reasonable time. The board reserves the right to mute or remove a member of the public if comments or actions disrupt the board meeting. Let's see. We'll start with our call to order and flag salute. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:38 p.m. Mary Campos?
Present.
Joseph Haney is present. Raymond Jackson?
Happily present.
And Delight Travis?
Present.
All right. We'll now rise for the flag salute. Please rise and face the flag nearest you. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up for us is the approval of the agenda for the regular meeting of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors on April 23rd, 2020. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve the agenda for the regular meeting of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors on April 23rd, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Seeing none, we will now move to closed session where we will discuss. Uh-oh. Do we have a closed session? A public employee discipline removal release, Ed Code Section 54957. Do we have any comments on this item?
We do not.
Okay, we are now going to close session at 5:40 p.m. All right, welcome back to open session. We are reconvened at 7:03 p.m. Public report of action taken in closed session. Nothing happened in closed session. So that takes us to item 4, consent agenda items. We have 2 items. Approve the regular meeting minutes of the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors on March 26, 2020. And B, approve the Oxford Preparatory Academy personnel actions. Do I have a motion? It is recommended that the board approve consent agenda items A and B. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve consent items A and B.
And do I have a second?
I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? This motion passes unanimously. Next up is item 5, public comment, oral communications, non-agenda items. The public, including public attending a teleconference location, are invited to address the board regarding items not listed on the agenda. No individual presentation shall be for more than 3 minutes, and the total time for this purpose shall not exceed 15 minutes. Ordinarily, board members will not respond to presentations and no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a presentation. Please turn your comment card into the board secretary prior to this agenda item. Do we have any comment cards?
We do not.
Okay, up next is item 6, item scheduled for presentation. Presentations are limited to 10 minutes. First up is A, Oxford Preparatory Academy Financial Report for March 2020, Ms. Parikh with EdTech.
Thanks. I'll go ahead and share my screen, or not able to. Did you want to share your screen?
Mhm. Okay, you should be able to share now.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Can you see the presentation? Okay, so this financial update is as of March and accounts for adjustments based on conversations with the school leadership in terms of adjustments with school closure. So we've gone ahead and accounted for those. On the first slide, we have the SOC operating income. We are projecting $976,000 operating income for the school, which is up about $142,000 since our last board meeting. The primary savings are driven through compensation benefits through adjustments in staffing. We also have savings in services and other operating and books and supplies related to school closure. These are savings for expenses that wouldn't be incurred with the school facility closed. So in terms of things like utilities, equipment leases, some PE supplies, things like that, where we're having savings of unspent budget. The COVID SB 117 funding of $13,000, that's additional funding for this school year. It was approved in SB 117 by the governor and it has been released to the schools. It comes out to about $17 per ADA and it's funding specifically related to COVID. So distance learning materials, things like that, it can be used on. And then we have an additional revenue source or increase from P2 ADA. We have the final P2 ADA numbers at this point, and since most of your revenue is driven off that, we've gone ahead and adjusted the forecast based off of that additional 1.4 ADA, which comes out to about $12,000. And then you also received some prior year state and federal revenue related to assessment reimbursement. So combined, that's resulting in the $142,000 higher operating income forecast for this school year. For SV, it's a similar picture. However, the increase is $67,000 compared to what we were seeing at SOC. The operating income is forecasted at $369,000 for the year. Similar adjustments, we recognize savings on services and other operating related to consultants, utilities, equipment leases, compensation benefits related to staffing adjustments, and the revenue from SB 117 and state and federal prior year revenue. The differences here, we had a few areas that offset these savings. Books and supplies, we increased the forecast for additional distance learning licenses, and field trips, we adjusted, assuming there's no more field trips the rest of the year, we adjusted based on your actual expenses to date and revenues collected. Legal fees is the largest item that's offset. So we have a $33,000 that exceeded the forecast due to invoices that came in related to prior legal matters. In terms of our cash forecast for SOC, we included this month as we're looking at uncertainty as we're looking in the future. So for SOC, strong cash balances overall, no anticipation of lending, but as we look at potential for deferrals in the coming months, it's important to kind of have some metrics on how good of a cash flow you have. So what we included is this purple line, which represents about 3 months of your expenses. And you can see currently you're right about at 3 months of expenses, which means essentially if you received no other deposits, you would be able to essentially still continue to pay all of your expenses for 3 months, which is a really strong cash balance. When we see it going lower, like you were at the start of the year for SOC, that's definitely more of where we might want to start considering, other sources of financing or things like that to be able to withstand potential long-term deferrals if those were to happen. For SV, the picture is stronger. We have the cash balances are stronger. In addition to the 3 months of expense threshold is a little bit lower. So we're seeing essentially strong balances here, no anticipation, even if there were, 3.5 months of no revenues coming in, you would be able to withstand that. So that's something that, you're definitely very liquid in that sense of your cash balances. In terms of our check and credit card register, we flagged a few items, a few related to field trips that would be for refunds, since they were for expenses that were that were after the school closure, and then a few invoices that were specifically flagged around legal fees and repairs and building expenses that exceeded the original forecast. Any questions so far on the financials?
What's this Vortec error for 8,000?
I can address that. That's for SV. We've had continual issues with the air conditioning units at SV over many years, and breakdowns, students and teachers in classrooms that were, extremely hot, miserable. So what we did this spring was to plan for this summer, and of course, getting hot now, I realize we're not on the campus. But prior to this, we decided that we did not want our staff going up on, rooftops, working on things, or having to call on a repeated basis. It's been really just constant. So this is our solution in order to have everything in the classrooms. The boxes are on the wall, and the thermostats are set at one temperature, so they're not changed, except by custodial and maintenance staff. So we think we resolved an ongoing problem by, it's kind of paying up front to solve issues later. We're very excited about having this capability now. We had a lot of maintenance done on the systems, on the units, on the ones that were broken on the rooftops as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember spending a hot board meeting or 10 in there.
Even in the dead of winter.
That's right.
Okay. So the rest of the presentation, I just wanted to give you a few financial updates related to kind of looking forward into next year. So the first update that I had was just around the CARES Act. So there was about $13 billion designated for K-12 education. Part of this funding would be allocated based on your Title I allocation. You do receive Title I funding, but it's fairly minimal. So we wouldn't anticipate more than a couple $1,000s for each school from this source of funding. We are anticipating that the funding will come through next year, but there is an application process that still needs to be determined, and the funding still has not been released. So that's something that would be additional funding for next year. The other thing, as we're starting to talk about budget for next year and planning for what does next school year look like, there's a few things that we just wanted to kind of put on your radar. Obviously, we don't know kind of the length of the crisis and what that economic impact is. With the CARES Act revenue I just mentioned, we don't know quite the timing and exact amount of that, though that's going to be minimal for OPA. What we do know is that the state is heavily reliant on tax income. So most of the revenues that the state gets is from different sources of tax revenue. And K-12 education budgets are determined based on basically 40% of the state's budget. So if the state is receiving less tax income, schools are likely going to receive less funding. There is stimulus funds going towards the state, and there are better reserves for the state at this point. So we're not sure how, if tax income comes in lower this year, how that will impact the schools, but there's definitely potential for kind of flat funding, reduced funding in next year or potentially in future years. The other issue with that is that the tax deadline was pushed to July 15th. So the state has to still approve the budget in June. So they'll probably, what we anticipate is that they'll approve a budget in June, but then they'll reapprove a budget in August once they see the final tax revenues. So what that means for you is that when we're budgeting for revenues, we'll have kind of preliminary estimates from the state in June, but we're likely going to see revisions in August. So what we're recommending from that is kind of thinking about multi-track budgeting, thinking of different scenarios and what different types of adjustments we can make as we're looking into the future. And then really importantly, just maintaining that cash position. So you have a really strong cash position right now. But if deferrals were to come, you know, thinking about securing potentially lines of credits or other ways to manage your cash, should there be significant deferrals. An example, just for you to be aware, in 2010-11, when we're looking at the cash flow, this graph kind of shows you what deferrals looked like. So normally you get state aid, kind of 5% of it July, August, and then you get the 9%. So that's the gray. 9% each month. You get a portion of your funding each month. The teal color kind of represents what actually happened. So you can see in like July and August, you didn't receive any funding. In October, there was no funding. March, there was no funding. So when we're talking about deferrals, you know, we want to be able to weather something maybe like where February through June, you're receiving very little cash, but you're still, you know, still making payroll, you're still paying for your normal expenses, utilities, things like that. So, so that's kind of what we're talking about in terms of managing the cash. The other thing to think about last time the recession was, you know, in 2008, 2009, and you can see this deferrals is from 2010-11. So when we're talking about kind of long-term impact, thinking, you know, potentially this could be, we could maybe next year might look okay in the end of it all, but then maybe it could trickle into the few years after that. So just things to kind of start thinking about as we're planning for the future. So that's I know kind of doom and gloom, but hopefully, I mean, hopefully the state is in a better spot than they were previously. So we're hoping for the best, but definitely planning for the worst. So we can kind of see where we're at. Any questions on any of that?
No questions. All right, we will thank you, Ms. Parikh, for your time, and move on to the OPA Distance Learning Survey results for March 2020 with Dr. Kernan.
Well, right before you start, Dr. Amy, I just want to say, Parikh, you did a great job there. I know that kind of wasn't super great news, and that's never fun to talk about, but I love your data sets. I love your presentation. I love your forward thinking. I love the idea that we're here talking about in an intelligent way what the next year looks like realistically from a cash flows point of view. And I can say with some degree of confidence that I don't think we've ever done that with this degree of clarity. And so I appreciate you bringing that to us and informing us in the way that you have. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Parikh. Dr. Kernan, the interwebs are yours.
Gracias.
De nada.
I'm on my different computer. No, wait, stop. Switch to do Garrett first.
Do Garrett first.
Sorry, can we go out of order?
Ms. Marks, do we have to vote on that?
Hold on, let me see.
Leniency come with the governor's orders.
For some reason, my screen does not want to share.
You know, you're on mute, Ms. Marks.
It's not an action item per se. There's no vote. So let's put Garrett front and center for right now.
All right. We'll come back to you, Dr. Amy, but in the meantime, let's go live to Andy's bedroom with Ms. Bridges.
All right, there you go, Garrett.
10 minutes. All
Not
right,
too-
I've got my timer, so I'll see if we can get 10 minutes. All right, so yes, I am Mr. Bridges. Thank you, Colton. I am the chancellor at the Saddleback campus. And what I want to do is just kind of want to share with everybody what's been going on. The first couple of slides, I'm going to kind of share an overview of what our program, where we are with our program now, and then in terms of the whole group, and then individual small group instruction. And then Mrs. Alvarado is going to share some more in regards to how we're making sure that our Scholar Academy students are having their needs met, as well as our English learners. So this is kind of just a brief summary of our overall program. Our TK through second grade, our TK students, excuse me, are receiving a 30 to 45 minute Zoom lesson 2 times per week. And then kinder through first grade is a 30 to 45 minute Zoom lesson 4 times per week. So those are direct instruction lessons live with the teachers, where the students get to interact with their teachers and their classmates. 3rd through 5th grade, they meet once per week per subject, 60-minute whole class session, and then 6th through 8th grade, 60 minutes whole class for each subject as well. Additionally, our world language professors in middle school are holding Zoom sessions, and so is our PE instructor as well, a few times during the week. What I'm really excited about is the small group academic support that we're providing our students. So all grade levels, TK through 8, including our middle school and world language professors, are providing students with small group learning opportunities, anywhere from 4 to 7 students, and TK through 2, 30 to 45 minute sessions, 3rd through 8, 60-minute sessions. And then our world language professors are providing small group 30 to 45 minute. What I really like about this is that this is, I think, is laying the groundwork for something that we can then transition into something that we're utilizing when we get back into a school setting and on site. So this is exciting. All of it's exciting. I think our staff is finally getting into the swing of things. I think now that we have our set guidelines in place, we started off a little fast. Got a lot of feedback from parents and a lot of feedback from kids and teachers, and this is where we currently are, and I've heard nothing but great things coming from parents, students, and teachers in regards to these current guidelines. So next we have some photos of our library and PE time. So right dead center, you see Miss Penrose doing one of her primary live Zoom sessions where she was jogging in place. She was doing lunges, and what I really like is that she's actually does nutritional videos as well for students. So she was making a smoothie. And then Miss Williams provides read alouds for all of our champions and their siblings. At one time, I think we had close to 100 TK through second graders in on a read aloud. We have science and music. So Mrs. Peterson is transitioning to creating more of a video base where she's going to record herself and then record herself providing small experiments that kids can try. What we talked about earlier today is kind of working up some type of STEAM lab that she can provide to the students once a week, for grade level spans, that if they're interested and they have some time, they can join on. What I really like is on the upper right-hand corner, you can see a student submission. So she's asking students to videotape and record themselves with these experiments, and then they are sending them to her. And then for our music, Mr. Sachs is providing students with opportunities to learn how to read music. They just started their composer presentation or reports, and then teaching our 4th graders moving into 5th grade on the different types of instruments, so that when they get to the 5th grade, they have a great understanding of what instrument they're going to pick. World language, again, providing videotaped lessons. Miss Olga in the upper left-hand corner is reading a book in Spanish to her 3rd through 5th graders. Miss Shauna has done some recording. It's great to have Miss Shauna back. You know, she's providing her world language students with some really fun videos and Flipgrid opportunities and presentations. And that's, you know, TK through 2 for Mandarin, 3-5 Spanish, and then her middle school students. So they see a lot of students throughout the week. And we have our core subjects. We have our math, ELA, social studies, and science. I think what's great about this transition to remote learning is teachers are now able to use a lot of different platforms and try a lot of different platforms out that we couldn't try without purchasing a site license. So almost all of these different platforms have provided their service for the rest of the year for free for teachers to use. So teachers are diving in and taking advantage of that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to narrow down the amount of platforms that are out there, and then how work is submitted, just to ensure that things are submitted in a timely manner and it's not all over the place. In the middle, we had our kindergartners went to the SeaWorld on a field trip. So there's Mrs. Merlette's little one. I think he had PE, looks like, with a helmet on. And then he went to the San Diego or SeaWorld for their field trip. Some highlights: PE's providing live Zoom meeting opportunities for all grade levels. TK through 4, 2 30-minute blocks, 5 through 8, 4 30-minute sessions a week. And Miss Penrose has actually done a staff wellness presentation. So yesterday was the first staff wellness. I think we had 5 visitors, and we're looking forward next week to have more visitors to make sure that our staff's taking care of themselves as well. The library is providing day lessons, book club, read alouds, TK through 2 story time with Miss Williams. They're actually excited. They have their Bob competition tomorrow. So they've been working really hard throughout the year, reading all these books, and they've figured out a way to still have the competition remotely. So that's what they'll be participating in tomorrow. This week, Mr. Rectine informed me that the academic pentathlon is still moving forward, which is fantastic. Those kids have been working tirelessly as well. I believe on May 1st, going to take the online test. So we wish them luck. Our 4th graders are going to attend a virtual field trip. And then lastly, our yearbook is complete. So Mr. Chandler put the final touches on the school yearbook. We have sold 316 yearbooks to date. I think the base price for a yearbook is $24. So it's I think it's priced right. And I just got word from Mr. Chandler that they've extended the ordering until the book goes to print, which is in an extra, I think, 10 days. So we'll be able to finish out this month. Families will still be able to books, and they're shipping the books straight to home free of charge. So if you've ordered before the quarantine went into effect, your books ship for free. And if they're after the quarantine went into effect, it's a $2.99 charge to ship the books to your home. And how are we doing on time? Do we have enough time?
Give it a go.
All right, so here's a short little video that we put together and sent to our families.
I'm not hearing the audio.
Didn't hear the audio?
No.
All right, so what I will do is I will exit and give my screen back to Dr. Kernan, and then I can share the video with you. I'll email the video to you if you haven't seen it. And that's all I have.
Awesome, that's a great update, Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Next up is, are we coming back to you, Dr. Amy, or are we going to keep the flow going? I think you might be muted.
You can come back to, or I can go. Denise is going to actually do share my presentation. And because since I'm running so many things on my one computer, it's not allowing me to share my screen without turning everything down and changing my share settings. And
Okay.
that's too bad. So I'm making, Denise is going to be the one running it, but I'll talk.
Can you
Okay.
see it?
You have share settings now.
Okay.
Okay, so we wanted to give an update of our remote learning, and both of the chancellors are going, or Garrett already did, but Denise is also going to kind of give you an overview of what has been going on at both of our sites. We're actually really excited about all of the things just in the last 6 weeks that our staff has put in place to make sure that we're really meeting the needs of all of our students, and that our students will finish off the year really in the same place that they would have been were we on campus. So a lot of schools are having kind of a slow start with being able to get their remote learning going. But both of our school staffs have been amazing at just jumping right in. And with all of our different activities and different things that are going on, our students are receiving small group instruction, one-on-one interventions, PE activities, music activities, as well as all of their core activities. So just a little timeline. It's amazing. It's only been 6 weeks, and a week of that was spring break. But this is kind of a timeline of what has progressed. Luckily, we were a little ahead of the game as far as meeting with our staff and having our staff plan for the school dismissals. So we kind of saw it coming with everything that was happening in the state. So we called all of our staff together a week before the school dismissals and had them start planning and had them start figuring out what they were going to do if school was dismissed, creating packets for the first week for the students, and then starting to think about what they would do in case of remote learning. Then we dismissed on the 13th. We had a staff development day on the 16th and met with every single group of teachers and IAs, office staff, everyone on that day in small groups because of social distancing, and kind of rolled out what the initial plan was. We also sent home those independent study packets for students to use. And then we had a couple of days where parents could come and pick up technology, pick up different materials. If parents didn't pick up those materials or didn't pick up their Chromebooks, or if we have Chromebooks that are breaking, I have a bunch of Chromebooks, and it's Amy's Chromebook repair exchange at my house. And you can email tech.needs@oxfordchampions.com, and we set up an appointment for you to come and pick up a Chromebook for people whose Chromebooks are broken, because we want to make sure that all of our students have access to technology. And then we've really been, our synchronous interactive instruction started on the 23rd. We sent out a survey, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, to parents on the 26th, and then had spring break with our champion camp. And now we're just continuing to improve our program and continuing with our remote learning through the end of the school year. So like Garrett was talking about, our remote learning program consists of whole group Zoom instruction or whole group classes in Zoom, as well as small group sessions so that students can get more one-on-one interactive help and support from their teachers, ask questions, things like that. And we're doing that for all of our core subjects as well as our middle school foreign language. And then our foreign language teachers are also providing some activities and different things even for our younger groups. And then for PE, one of the the state requirements for the number of PE minutes that we're providing activities and instruction for has not been waived. So we are still making sure that we're meeting those minute requirements for our PE classes each week. So like I said, we gave out a survey to our parents, and our teachers and staff, as well as our students in grades 5 through 8. We really wanted to see how this model was working and get some feedback about things that we could improve, as well as things that were going really well, or things that were going really well in certain grade levels that we wanted to add to other grade levels. We had an incredible response rate, 526 parent responses. That's a pretty high rate in just a couple of days, even higher than we've ever gotten for like our LCAP surveys, things like that. Then 51 staff responses and 440 responses from students. So we had a lot of feedback in just a short amount of time. So you can flip to the next one. And it was pretty amazing. Our survey results were incredibly positive. So if you look, dark blue is parents, gray is staff, and light blue is students. According to staff and parents, our response to the COVID-19 crisis and our quick implementation of our remote learning plan had a 100% satisfaction rate for staff and a 95% satisfaction rate for parents. Same thing with our communication through all of this, 100% for staff, 98% satisfaction for parents. So it's a pretty incredibly high satisfaction rate. Also, everyone really enjoys the interactive Zoom sessions instead of just being given. I know a lot of schools are just posting assignments to Google Classroom or sending out assignments for their students to do independently. We wanted to make sure that we still had that interaction between students as well as between students and staff. And that definitely has a really high satisfaction rate, as well as the second set is sort of the effectiveness or the usefulness. So usefulness and satisfaction of Zoom sessions really high in the 90s, as well as usefulness and satisfaction for the small group sessions. So all of those different aspects, we got some feedback from our TK through 2 parents that they really wanted to see more of those sessions in those younger grade levels. So we took a lot of the remote learning survey information that we received and put it into action, kind of changing and improving on our remote learning plan. So we added more of those Zoom lessons and small group sessions for our TK through 2 students. We also looked at workload expectations across grade levels and tried to make those more consistent and tried to make sure that students weren't receiving too much work and they weren't, spending 10 hours a day doing schoolwork, but also making sure that they were receiving enough work to where they were continuing to be on progress to meet those standards mastery goals. So we sort of modified the different expectations for each grade level. We also had some feedback that those teachers who were posting their agendas or their schedules at the beginning of the week and sharing it with parents, that was really useful for parents to be able to sort of monitor their kids' activities. So we made that a requirement across the board for teachers to post a weekly agenda and schedule of activities. We've also really increased our Zoom security features, making the waiting room kind of a requirement for all of our classes, using participant passwords, making sure that students are joining with their own name and they aren't changing their name during the sessions, and then making sure that the teacher is the only one that controls all of the Zoom features. and has to grant permission for being able to use those features to students. We also looked at streamlining and focusing our communication between my communications, the site administrator's communications, Ms. Mark's communications, so that we make sure that we're all hitting on different topics and it's not repetitive. And then like Garrett was kind of showing you, and Denise is going to talk about in her presentation, really increased the level of activities and engagement opportunities for students. I know at SOC, they have their teachers are putting on a whole bunch of sort of extra enrichment activities, and Ms. Penrose doing even staff workouts for staff and different workouts for each grade level. And just having all of those extra things that students are used to getting when they go to school. We want to make sure that they're not missing out on those things because we're all stuck at home and doing remote learning. We want to keep kids engaged and really make sure that everybody is continuing to excel, and that kids are excited about learning still and excited about coming to their Zoom sessions and seeing their friends and doing science labs and going to SeaWorld and all of those great things that we expect our students to be doing when we're in class, in the classroom. We want to make sure that they still have those opportunities while we're still learning remotely. So that's kind of a recap of where we are. It's amazing it's only been less than 2 months, but we're looking forward to pushing ahead and continuing to improve our program week by week and make sure that our kids are exactly where they are supposed to be when school ends in June. Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board? I have a question. This is such a radically different way for our teachers to teach. Different than what they were prepared for when they were in college, different than what they've done in their professional lives. And I'm really happy that we were there with support to help get everybody on board with training. What are we doing on a go forward basis to continue that process? Because this, when we originally met, we as a board to discuss what we were going to do, it was a 2-week, maybe a 3-week period that we'd be doing this. And now that this looks like we're in it for a little bit more of a longer haul, what are we doing to continue to provide resources to our teachers and help share best practices so that they can continue to develop in how they do this and maybe learn from one another or realize, hey, maybe I wasn't doing that as effectively and efficiently as I could have, and just so we can offer the best education experience by offering the best resources to our teachers.
Well, one of the funny things about this whole switch has been that I think teachers are collaborating with each other and collaborating with our administrators 10 times more than they did when we were on campus. The administrators have weekly check-ins with every group of teachers, and they have great conversations and share exactly what they're doing. And then the teachers, even themselves, without the administrators, are collaborating. They're working together. If you look at one teacher's kind of remote lessons and then you go to another teacher in the same grade level, they have similar lessons, similar activities, and they're all sharing resources. We have shared Google Drives, where if one person finds a resource, like Miss Merlette found Cami, which is a way to kind of write on PDFs and interact with PDF documents. And then we were able to get a free license for all teachers and then share it out. And Joel, our technology coordinator, has been really good at making little videos about all of the new technology and how to use it, any different programs. And he shares those out with the teachers so that they have sort of an interactive short little PD video for how to use any of our new technology. So I've been really impressed with how well our teachers are collaborating and sharing best practices through this whole thing. and at how well our administrators are really meeting with teachers and making sure that everyone is continuing to collaborate and how everybody's really sharing. I think if we move forward and into some type of extension of this remote learning or blended learning, that a lot of our professional development that happens at the end of this year and the beginning of next year will also really sort of revolve around best practices for online learning and remote learning, as well as more kind of in-depth training on the different tools and the different resources that we're using.
Have you thought about incorporating some more social elements as like a virtual play dates or things like that? Because I know that part of this for especially the kids is that they're struggling with just having distant learning. Have you looked at anything like that yet?
So we do have some in different grade levels. I know our middle schools, they have their fantastic Friday kind of hangout sessions. And so we have been kind of trying to look at more of those social pieces. It is, if it's on our Zoom platform, and we're hosting it, then there has to be a little bit more of security features and things like that. We were also looking at possibly seeing if Honors Society could also maybe help out with offering some of those more social kind of play dates and things like that as well, because everyone now can get a free basic Zoom account. So that way it would be that parents could log in, or we wouldn't have to have quite the same security issues as we do when it's on our Zoom platform. But definitely we want to have more interactive experiences with kids being able to just kind of interact with each other.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Dr. Amy.
All right, then I will just leave it with Denise to share her own presentation.
Fantastic.
Denise, you're mute.
There. I was saying that it's amazing how quickly we go from one way of life to another in the blink of an eye. And millions of parents now suddenly have to found themselves, responsible for overseeing their child's education from home. But fortunately, our OPA, at OPA, we have great teachers who have fostered engaging, meaningful, and fun activities and environments for our champions. And I would like to share some of what we have done at SOC. So let me get started with that. So our virtual classes started a few weeks ago, and we have our teachers who are at different levels of knowledge in technology. The majority of our teachers are very knowledgeable and have been using technology for a while into their classes, even before we went into remote learning. But now we have teachers who have jumped on board and some who need a little bit more support, but they're all working together within their teams and then across teams to make sure that everybody has the support that they need. This is an example of what you would see in an English class. The one on the left, the grammar lesson, is on possessive nouns that one of our middle school teacher was reviewing with students. And then the one on the other side, it's a read aloud that students were following along. And if you see the yellow area here, it's just a they were following along with that yellow area that the teacher was reading about a fictional tradition. And then they had a discussion. A virtual math class would look like this, where teachers were using, again, everybody uses a different technology. Some teachers have the books online. Some teachers, if you notice it right in the middle, is using a webcam. And then the teacher on the right-hand side became very, very creative, and she's just using a transparency so that she's able to write on top of the paper or the transparency, like I used to when I was a teacher back in a while ago. And then we also have a virtual math classes in science. If you look on the one with the pictures here, our teacher was asking students, this is a really neat platform where students, teachers, the teacher asked the students to draw a diagram of the rock cycle. So live, the teacher was able to see what the students' understanding was of the rock cycle. And each student was submitted their items. So if you, I don't know if you can see it, but the yellow items, the students submitted their work, and the green students were still in progress. So they were still drawing. So teacher was able to see what the students' knowledge was at that moment. If you look at the other side of the big picture here, it was actually a video, and teacher was asking, Mr. Harris was asking students to sing along and dance along the water cycle song, which was really funny. It was like a rap song, and it was pretty cute to see the kids. And then the one at the bottom was one of our teachers, Ms. Barrios, was conducting an experiment with students, and she was just talking to the students as if they were right in front of her. It just didn't seem as if they were in a distance learning class. It all seemed very real and as if we were just sitting in class with her. And let me go back to that. The reason why I wanted to share this, so you guys could see that there's different shapes and forms of sharing or conducting a lesson online. And also Ms. Velez and myself, we conduct virtual classroom visits on a daily basis, mainly Monday through Thursday, because that's when most of the classes are being held for our teachers. And we visit every classroom. So we split the grade levels, and we visit every classroom just to see what the kids are working on. And then now that we are in this platform, communication is key. If we don't have communication, things are going to break down and things are not going to work out. So I just wanted to share with you what we're doing in terms of staff communication. On a weekly basis, I send and I've been doing this since I started working at OPA, but I continue to do this, and I send a Monday memo to all staff with information that they should know about, what's coming up with the week or what happened the week prior to. And then I also have grade level Zoom meetings with every grade level. Ms. Velez and I split the grade levels, and we have weekly Zoom meetings where we check with teachers as to how they're doing. The first week we focused on how are you doing? How do you feel? What do you need? How can we support you? And now that we are more deep into the lessons, we're focusing more on how can we support you in your teaching, and what strategies do you need and things like that. We also have our school site leadership team meeting that happens every other week, and that includes school psychologists, education specialists, both admin and a few teachers as well. And we talk about what the needs are for the entire staff. And then we have our weekly email video updates from Dr. Kernan to our staff. In terms of parent communication, I send out an email and text message every Sunday to parents. I also include a 1-minute video that I post on Instagram just so I can catch our parents' attention and remind them to go check their email for more information.
Ms. Alvarado, is this you being Dr. Kernan? Are you presenting her piece right now?
No, this is mine.
Okay, sorry. Just wanted to be sure.
And then I have weekly updates. As of this week, we are going to have weekly champion chats by ASB students, and then weekly updates by Dr. Kernan and Ms. Marks. They provide that for our parents on a weekly basis. And obviously another way to communicate to our parents is through our board meetings that happen on a monthly basis. In terms of Scholar Academy, I wanted to give you an update as to what we're doing for our students with who are on IEPs. And our teachers and instructional assistants, they continue to provide high level of support for our students in small group and also one-on-one. And our parents are reporting that they are becoming a little bit more comfortable and familiar with our technology. And none of this would happen if we didn't have an excellent team that includes our education specialists, our speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, psychologists, and also our support staff that is part of the Scholar Academy team. For our English learners, at SOC, we have 48 English learners that receive designated support from Ms. Didion. She's our EL teacher on special assignment. For grades 2nd through 8th, she attends weekly meetings, or she focuses on weekly meetings in small group through Zoom with our students. And also K through 1st, she meets with them weekly one-on-one. And for our EL support teacher, she also attends our weekly grade level leadership meetings with administration so that she's aware of what's happening. And she also stays informed with what is happening so that she can relay that message to everyone else in the teams. So next I have a quick little video about that ASB just put together. They will be putting together these videos on a weekly basis to share with our families. Oh, give me.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
Hi, I'm Kate.
Hi, my name is Kai.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hi, I'm Reed. Hi, I'm Kavya.
Hi, I'm Luke.
Hi, I'm Cameron.
Hi, my name is Alyssa.
Hi, I'm Matthias.
Hi, I'm Griffin.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
Hi, I'm Peyton, your ASB Director of Activities.
Hi, my name is Addie and I am ASB's Vice President.
Hi, I'm Josie, your ASB President.
Welcome back, everybody, from ASB.
Look forward to challenges and champion chat coming soon.
And one of the last things I want to share with you, we started this week through our leadership team meetings. One of our teachers said, we need to do some fun things. This is what OPA is all about. We're not just about academics, we're about learning and having fun at the same time. So they came up with the idea of having teacher webinars, but these are fun teacher webinars that students can sign up for, any grade level, any student at OPA. And so these are the pictures that we posted on our Instagram so that we can invite our families. This was also emailed to all families as well. For example, on Tuesday, April 21st, this Tuesday, we had directed drawing. On Wednesday, we had quarantine karaoke. Thursday, we had community outreach and a virtual field trip. And on Friday, we're having tomorrow household scavenger hunt and also art and read aloud. So as you can see, as of today, 245 participants have been added to that sign-up sheet for our webinars. And then this is a quick video. I won't be able to share the entire video, but I just wanted to show you before my 10 minutes are up, the quick video that one of our teachers, Ms. Lang, put together. All the teachers participated and shared their pictures that we sent out to our families.
Been storming on us for way too long. We're at that point of breaking, so we must keep holding on. We gotta be strong for each other.
I'm not going to share the entire video. It's about 4 minutes long, but you can find it on our Instagram, and every single one of our parents also received this message. And the last thing I want to say is thank you. Thank you to our teachers who are at the heart of our program, and without them, we couldn't do what we are currently doing. The support staff as well, our awesome students, our wonderful parents who provide the support, and obviously to our board members also who provide the support, and we are able to do our job. So that concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarez. Next up is 7 items scheduled for discussion. We have just one, which is the OPA Pandemic Influenza Coronavirus Emergency Response Plan updates for April 2020 with Mr. Barley.
Hello. So I wanted to let everyone know that the plan that was actually in existence and approved by the board prior to the pandemic, it existed, is continuing. You know, we're following everything that is in the plan, and very happy to communicate that. I wanted to highlight tonight one portion of some of the steps we've taken that has to do with our relationships with vendors. We have, since the middle of March, as was pointed out in the financial presentation, looked at ways that we could reduce expenses and really right size and make sure that our vendors were providing what's needed currently. So we looked at landscapers, we looked at utilities, we looked at our cleaning supplies, waste management, pest control, food service, our leases, as well as our water, everything that you can think of. Over 25 vendors have been great partners to OPA, and we're very happy to have those relationships. So whether it was usage decreases, we put things on hold, we've reduced our commitments, we've canceled things in some cases or renegotiated. Every partner we've had has been very accommodating, and I think that's important for us to realize now and as we move forward. The other thing I wanted to report with regard to our plan is that we have completed the cleaning and sanitizing of both campuses. This is the first round complete. I expect before we go back to the campuses, we'll have another round that we'll do. So just be aware of that. So that's all in support of our security, safety, and welfare of all of us at OPA. So that's all I had for tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bartley. We're now up to 8 items scheduled for action, and we only have one, which is A, approved designation of applicant's agent resolution for emergency assistance. Oxford Preparatory Academy is submitting a request for public assistance, RPA, with the Federal Emergency Management System, FEMA, in order to be reimbursed for costs categorized as emergency protective measures that have been or may be incurred as a result of COVID-19. This resolution designates executive administration to act as agents for OPA for the purpose of providing information and documentation to the Governor's Office of Emergency Services for all open and future disasters for 3 years. It is recommended that the board approve action item A.
So we're going to apply. The governor is actually asking all LEAs to apply for the emergency or the FEMA emergency money for COVID-19 to make sure that California schools receive money for things like what David was talking about a little while ago, cleaning and sanitizing our campuses, any supplies or personnel costs associated with that, as well as any communication costs for keeping parents informed about where to get school lunches, where to get childcare, or anything related to health and safety for COVID-19, as well as our school dismissal procedures. We're receiving SB 117 funds, and those kind of coincide for the same things, but we're going to use those for more technology and curriculum related things related to COVID-19 that can't be covered under the FEMA money, and then apply for the FEMA money to cover more of the cleaning, sanitizing, and health related costs. So we want to make sure that we're able to receive all of the funding that's out there to be able to cover all of the costs that are related to COVID-19. So basically this resolution just allows Jill and David and myself to be able to submit information to FEMA as well as to the governor's emergency response unit. So.
All right. Any questions or comments from members of the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion at this time?
I'll make a motion to approve action item 1.
I second the motion to approve action item 1.
All those in favor of approving this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? This motion passes unanimously. We now come to board reports and comments. We'll start at the, well, start at the A level we were introduced to start. Ms. Campos, do you have any board comment or report?
The only thing I'd like to say is to thank all the teachers and staff for everything they're doing to make the transition to remote learning so seamless with students, and to give them a huge kudos for all their work and keeping the students on track.
All right, thank you. I would second that. I think it's, my work's been disrupted, but I still do the same work. I just do it at home instead of in the office. I can't imagine the level of disruption that comes as a teacher, and I think our teachers are doing an amazing job, and I appreciate all their efforts and the efforts of our admin and staff to have OPA really as a leading example of how to do this under really difficult circumstances. So thank you and congratulations to everybody. Mr. Jackson.
Oh goodness, I'm going to +1 to Mary and +1 to Joseph. You guys said it perfectly. Thank you all very much. Jill,
All right.
under your leadership, this has been great. Amy, you're doing great. And thank you, David. Really, what a wonderful organization. I'm proud to be here. Proud to watch you guys do your good work.
Very cool. And Ms. Travis.
It's hard to follow this. I would just say ditto, and thank you to everybody. It's good to see the good work that's going on for OPA, especially for our kids. So thank you everybody for your part in doing it.
Fantastic. That wraps up our part. Now we hand it over to Ms. Marks for the Executive Director report.
Oh, she's.
That mute button will get you.
All right. My comments will be brief. As the weeks have turned into months for this new normal, I was making the necessary adjustments. And I think you've heard that tonight. You've experienced that through the last 6 weeks. We're making adjustments for students to keep up with their studies and be prepared for the next school year. We're uniquely situated to achieve this as a highly accountable and stable charter organization, and with leadership that is proactive, decisive, with teachers, staff, and parents that have been selfless, flexible, and willing to tolerate change. We've come together as a community, I think, more than ever, and we'll continue to do so. Next year, we will endure budget cuts. I'm going to tell it to you straight. And this is due to the fact that the school funding formula is based on taxes. And we're making the necessary adjustments. We're looking at adding revenue sources, making as many cuts as possible that do not impact instruction and recovery for schools, whether they be districts, schools, charter schools. Recovery is looking like it's going to be L-shaped, which means the impact of tax cuts or the impact of less taxes will reduce and flatten funding for multiple years. As a fiscally and educationally responsible organization, our budget and instruction will plan with this reality in mind. I want to thank you all for your support and willingness to have us learn and improve in these unusual times. I also want to really reach out to whoever's listening now and who is live streaming, who are struggling. Please reach out to us. We'll listen. We will connect you with resources. Information is highly confidential, but we're very concerned about your welfare, whether you're a staff member, whether you're a parent. So we are here not only to keep your kids on track, but we're also here to make sure that you're okay, that you're going to get through this. And if we can help you at all possible, please reach out.
Thank you, Ms. Marks. I don't think as a board we're supposed to second anything that the executive director says, or I'm not sure the formality of it, but I'll breach protocol and say I second that too, and encourage people to do that. Up next is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? This motion passes 4-0. We are adjourned at 8:10 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Au revoir.
Stay well, stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.